couldn't even make it a full month in 2024 without moving into a new ink journal. So let's take a look at that and ink up some new pens for the month. Hey there, Julia here. Welcome back to another video. Let's go ahead and talk about this ink journal. I need to tell you the reasons why I decided to change up this ink journal. Number one, size, because the one that I had before that you may have seen in a previous currently inked video was an A6, so pretty small, and I complained briefly about that in the last video as well. And so because of that, I just couldn't stretch out and truly document my pen and ink journey. So extra thanks to Karina Loves the Plan for the inspiration for making this new journal. So the journal that I am using is a paper mood for filing notebook. I actually got it for free at the Colorado Pen Show. I'd never heard of this brand before. And this is actually a 2020 or 2021 notebook. And I know that just because of these calendar pages here. And after doing a little bit of research online, I learned that it does have the old Tomoe River paper 52 GSM. And I've never used the 52 GSM old Tomoe River paper, only the 68 maybe, the heavier one. And so this is going to be really fun to play with and get to experience that paper that it seems like a lot of people are sad that it's no longer being produced. So here we are. And then the cover, if you're wondering, is from a Ukrainian maker that I found on Etsy. I'll link that shop below as well. But yeah, let's go ahead and flip through what I have so far with this pen and ink journal. So yeah, I do plan on just putting like pen and ink related stickers and just kind of covering this up and having fun with these pages. Same here. And then we get into the kind of opening page. This is just the beginning of the year summary, how many full bottles of ink I have, how many samples, how many pens, and how many custom ink mixes I have. And so this is where I'm starting to put some stickers. I got really messy while setting this up, and so that was just covering a little ink swap there. So I'm going to start with the full bottles. I do love that this notebook does have this section up here for a header, and then the rest of it is a very light grid. And it's interesting how the ink kind of pools in the grid. I don't know why that is. Maybe the grid is raised up enough where the ink just kind of settles in there. It's kind of cool for swatching purposes. Look at this California teal. So pretty. Some of my favorites are definitely on this page. Ancient Copper, Water of the Nile here, Glistening Glass, both of these Cloak and Forest and Poison Envy. Yeah, definitely some favorites there. Same with this page, really. Song of Scarlet. This is a new one from Ferris Wheel Press that I really like, Knitted Nettle. Yeah, this one, I got a little happy, like shaking a bottle right over the notebook and had a little bit of spillage. Look at this Hardy Harvest, Cabernet on the Lake, Peter Moss, which I do think is my favorite green right now. So pretty. This is probably the lightest that Spruce County Road has looked to me. Usually it looks like super dark. And if you're wondering what I used for the swatches, I'll show you what I used for this a little bit later because it's kind of hilarious. And then this section down here, I actually used the Sailor Kodo dip pen, I think it's called. I'll put it on the screen if I need to. Also ink samples, and I've gotten ink samples from different exchanges and pen friends and at the Colorado Pen Show. And yeah, I really love having samples. I don't have as many as what I thought I did. When I look at them, it seems like I have a lot, but I have 30, and they do seem pretty varied. There's not too much of samey. Okay, and then here are my ink mixes that I've kept and I have in like little sample vials. This is just fun to do from time to time. I try to keep it all within the same brand so I don't have any weird contaminations or things gunking up and things like that. So Ferris Wheel Press, I have 3 mixes, and then the Birmingham Pen Co., which they actually want you to mix, and they have like recipes on their website, and so I do have a couple of mixes here for them. I do really love this. I'm calling it Sienna Rose. So pretty. And then I also have the Diamine Inkvent calendar for 2023 all swatched out. This was my first calendar and I had so much fun with it. Favorites are probably Velvet Emerald, Fireside Snug, Lavender Frost, Moonbeam. I just like so many. Walnuts. Ooh. Okay. And then I'm going into a section of all of the fountain pens that I'm starting the year off with, and these are in alphabetical order by brand. And so every time I go and ink up a specific pen, I will just write down the date and what I'm inking it up with. So you'll have a little bit of a spoiler if you pay enough attention going through here. And I felt like I didn't need a full page per pen just because I don't think all of the pens will get that much play this year. Okay, and then we are getting into my January currently inked, which looks quite a bit different than it did in the currently inked video I did, but I did redo the swatches here on the, it says the 17th of January. And so some of the changes that I made, I ended up getting a broad Banu nib, and so I put the broad on that Confetti Milkshake Euphoria and changed out the ink to the Sailor Studio 224, which, as you can see, very pretty, very shady. And then I also added a pen right before the new year, the Sailor Pro Gear Slim in Blue Margarita, and I inked that up with Diamine Spearmint Diva. Very pretty turquoisey shimmer ink here. And then probably the biggest, I guess, mess from last month was my Esterbrook Jr. Fantasia. I will try to keep this super short and sweet explaining this, but I was having some nib issues with this pen, I think ever since I bought it, and it was like the second fountain pen that I've ever purchased, maybe the third. But anyways, I've had it for the longest of most of these pens, and I just noticed that it just was not writing right. Like, it would only write enough to like whatever you dipped in, that was it. And so I was thinking like maybe something's just going on with the type of ink that I'm using. So I changed that out, no difference. I got the nib ground by Kirk Spear, thinking maybe the nib's just weird and he'll catch it and he'll grind it and it'll work just fine. And yes, it did work just fine at the table because we were dipping it. So I finally was like, I want to figure out what is going on. So I posted on Reddit, I posted in Simone's Discord. We had people on it and we could not figure it out. And so I like soaked the nib, all of this, took it to a local vintage pen guy that just happens to be here in this small town. And he changed out the feed And ever since then, it's been working like a dream. So thank you, Joel. I'll put his information down in the description if you are like into vintage pens or need a repair. He is like your guy for that. And then believe it or not, I uninked my Pilot Vanishing Point in matte black just because, of course, this happens. I say on the video, just assume that I'm gonna have this inked and yada yada. And then of course I decide to unink it. So it's just taking a rest so that some other pens can get some play. But yes, that got uninked as well. And then the last page before we get into it are my 2024 pen purchases. I am on a low buy this year, and I'm only buying pens with affiliate credit or money that I get from selling other pens. So maybe a purchase for my birthday, and then later on in the year. This low buy should last 9 months. Okay, so let's get into the February currently inked. Okay, the first kind of group of pens that we're going to be talking about are the ones that I'm migrating over from January. And the first one is the TWSBI Diamond Mini in white and rose gold. This is an extra fine nib, and I have Diamine Writer's Blood in here. Okay, and my Diamine Writer's Blood is a sample. And so I'll show you what I've been doing for the swatches that I really like. Use a pipette, just a little dab there. And then I've been using these little plastic spoons left over. They're like little dessert spoons from our recent wedding. So I love it. It's like the perfect little size, and I can control where everything goes, and I can see. So I will link something similar down below, and I do recommend. Very easy to clean. I'm just dipping it in water and it's good to go. So this is the TWSBI. An extra fine nib, and the ink is gorgeous. Okay, I'm actually gonna put this under just in case it decides to bleed. I made this myself. I do want to put some of these in the Etsy shop, but I just have not gotten around to it yet. Okay, the next one that I'm migrating over is this Bonecrusher 7 Studios. It's a Velma model, I learned, and the blank is by Stormwinds Blanks, and she is fantastic. And I called this my wedding dress pen, and I explain all that in January's currently inked video. But this is back at it, and it's a smooth cursive italic. I just like to call it CSI, but it's a cursive smooth italic. And I actually have a sample in here. It's Diamine Frosted Orchid, and I've really been loving it, and I didn't want to unink it until I like finish this off, because this is the last little bit of ink that I have left in here. But I still want to get this swatch to happen. So, gosh, I hope I just didn't kill it. We do what we need to do for the currently inked page, dang it. That seems like a really big dot there, but we're gonna try to make this work. Yeah, it's quite a bit. We'll just suck some of it up. Bonecrusher 7 Studios. Wedding dress. Cursive smooth italic. And the ink is a Diamine. Frosted Orchid. Ugh, I've been loving this pen. It's so good. You have to follow him on Instagram. They're mostly this model, but the resins and the just different bodies are just amazing. That is the last one that we are migrating over, so the rest of these will be new. And a lot of these pens and inks are informed by my February planner spreads and kind of the color story that I have going on there. So let's take a look at the first one, which is the Esterbrook Estie in Raven. So it is matte black and sexy. And this one's a little bit different than most of the Esterbrook Esties in Raven that you'll get. This one has a special Yovo Raven nib on it that Kirk Spear of Pen Realm offered, and you see a little raven on there. So yeah, it was really cool. You could pick how you wanted it ground, and I chose the cursive smooth italic. And we're going to come back to the pen because I totally am skipping over the ink. I have Diamine Oxblood inked in here. So now we really get the showdown between Writer's Blood and Oxblood. And I've said before, I like them both equally. I like all the bloods. The inks look so cool on this paper. Yeah, they look totally different on here. Diamine Oxblood. You can see with the cursive smooth italic how thin these cross strokes are compared to the downstrokes. There we go, the Esterbrook Estie in Raven. Okay, we are moving right along to this Nahvalur Nautilus. I will put the name of the colorway on the screen because I have the hardest time remembering what it's called. This is such a pretty pen. It isn't as purple as what I thought it was gonna be. Like the promo images had a little bit more purple in the body, and I'm sure that, you know, there's variation to all of the pens, but this one is like a lot of this like peachy color, but it has grown on me and I quite like it now. And I have this inked up with what I think is a super good match in Diamine Masquerade from the Ink Vent calendar. This is a shimmery ink. It's basically this kind of like dusty, saturated pink peachy color with gold shimmer. And it is so pretty. And I'm so glad I found a match for this pen that wasn't purple, because nothing else that I had before this quite matched. Kind of like pressing it in there a few times so you can get some of the dark spots, some of the lighter spots. Yeah, and then this one, I of course love this little porthole ink window there, but it also has a light purple plated nib, which is really pretty. Oh no, I'm gonna have to remember what this is called now that I'm writing it. Mussolini. Hopefully that is somewhat close to how you say that. And this is a fine nib. And it's inked with Diamine. Don't know why I put a comma there. Diamine. Masquerade. Oh, so pretty. Such a good match, I think. Next up is my Leonardo Momento Zero in Euphoria, and this is an exclusive for a shop in Florence, Italy, and I got this in person on our honeymoon, and I think they had just got them in that day or the day before, I think that day, and so I got to look at all of them. I took a picture of all of them and I got to have my pick, and so I picked one that had kind of the most yellow in it, just because I don't have very many fountain pens with yellow in it. And just so happens that this is, I don't know if you can see that right there, but it is number 13. And when the shop owner saw that it was number 13, he was like, "Are you sure you want 13?" And I was like, "I have to have it now." I was like, that makes it even better. So that is what I have. But I do just really love the swirls on this one. And I feel like I could match it up with so many different colors. And so this month, to lean into the yellow and go with Pelikan or Pelikan Golden Beryl, which I think was an exclusive ink with the Pelikan Golden Beryl pen. I'm not 100% sure, but I did buy this off a gal on Facebook who was just selling samples, and I was just trying things out. This was very early on in the fountain pen journey, but I really love this yellow ink. It's legible, it has shimmer, it definitely leans golden yellow with, you know, maybe like yellow orange, but it is gorgeous and is a good match, I think, for this pen. Look at it. I got a lot of shimmer in that droplet. Suck some of that up. Okay. So this is, it's postable. It's a little long, but it's not really that back heavy post-it. But I'm gonna post it for now. It is a Leonardo Memento Zero. Let's see, Euphoria in fine nib. The ink is Pelikan Golden Beryl. So pretty. I love my Leonardos. They write so smooth. Yes. Gorgeous. Okay, and I got one more for you. This is a newer acquisition as well from the wonderful Joel with Ink Pen, who fixed my Esterbrook Jr. It's very hard to sit in his workshop because I know that he has all types of pens around, and so I just asked what type of vanishing points he had on him. And he had quite a few, and I ended up leaving his workshop with this limited edition Pilot Vanishing Point from 2012. And this is, they only made, it makes it easy to figure out like which year the limited edition is from because that's how many they make. So 2012, this is 1639. So whenever I bought this, it had an extra fine nib on it, which I wasn't super duper excited about, but I ended up getting just a nib unit in medium for this. And so that's what I have in here now is a medium nib unit. And you may think that I went with a black or maybe even a gray to match it, but I went a little outside of the matchy box and I have in here Ferris Wheel Press Tumultuous Tides, which is a lovely turquoisey teal with some shimmer. It is Little Mermaid-esque, and Little Mermaid is my favorite. Look at that, so pretty. The Pilot Vanishing Point. Believe it or not, I have 3 of these now. And this one is called the Charcoal Marble? Maybe Marble Charcoal, I can't remember. Charcoal Marble 2012. And this is a medium nib. Ink is Ferris Wheel Press Tumultuous Tides. Gorgeous. I just love this palette. I feel like it's a very nice variety for the month. And if you're wondering where's the black, I do have my Sailor 21 inked here, even though this is like a super dark green, but I do still have this inked up because it's a cartridge and it's just gonna stay inked up right now, but it's not like in the palette, if you know what I mean. So yeah, here is the group for the month. Let's see if we can get a little close-up going. We have the TWSBI Diamond Mini with an extra fine nib inked up with Diamine Writer's Blood. That Bonecrusher 7 Studio Wedding Dress pen inked up with the Diamine Frosted Orchid. The Esterbrook Estie Raven with the Cursive Smooth Italic, and that's inked up with Diamine Oxblood. The Nahvalur Nautilus is inked up with Diamine Masquerade. Look at that shimmer. The Leonardo Memento Zero is inked up with Pelikan Golden Beryl. And then the Pilot Vanishing Point is inked up with Ferris Wheel Press Tumultuous Tides, and that is still trying to dry, but you can pretty much see what's happening there. Okay, well, let me know what you think of the squad for this month. Let me know what you have inked up down below. And if you want some more ink and pen pairings, I will put up here for you my January currently inked, so you can see how I started January and how I thought I was gonna just keep going to February without inking new pens. Silly me. But I will catch you all in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.